Can I just take it back? What do you mean by highly mobile?
Highly
That interests
mobile.
me because I live far out of the city.
Yeah, right. And
So-
I'm about to move far out of the city. For me, what I mean highly mobile is, for the first time in history, the tools of production and where the work is needed can be separated. So I'll break this down in 4 words. If we look at the history of human labour, 4 words can define us as a species. The first word is spear. That's the hunter and gatherer, right? That's your tool, right? Flint, stone tools,
Bow and arrow.
bow and arrow.
Shot
That's
mine
what we
this
do,
morning.
right? And so,
Nunchuckers.
right? Where do you want to eat tomorrow? Follow the herd, right?
Yeah.
Nunchucks. I love that. I've just got nunchucks in my head, and then I've just flashed back to Fist of
right.
Fury. Bruce Lee. No, don't be sorry. Do not be sorry.
right.
That is the best moment of today, right? That's fantastic. And so it's mobility of the tools we're hunter and gatherer. When the next word is seed. All right, so spear to seed. Seed is agriculture, civilized communities, starting to master our little areas of where we live. After that, industrialization is spanner. So spear, seed, spanner. Spanner's when we move to the city. It's concrete, it's steel. That's the era you and I were born into. And that's the era of the last 200 years, 300 years of industrialization.
I know what the last one's going to be.
Go, what is it?
Silicon.
You got it. Give me that fisty bump of goodness.
Ball and
we did a
ball and
swing.
socket.
Swing.
Ball and socket.
Ball and socket. I love that we got there. The ball and socket's perfect. It's perfect.
How did you know?
It's the next revolution.
It's the next
Cool.
revolution. Now, here's what's different about
I
silicon.
read the book. no, I didn't read it.
No.
Smart man.
Here's what's different about silicon is that for the first time in history, labour and location can be separate. That's never, ever happened. Look back to those other tools. Hasn't happened. And so what that means is that most of our work is informational now, and that's only going to increase. Even when we build physical things, it will be the information that creates them. 3D printing is the classic example. Information, ones and zeros, becomes atoms, bits into atoms. Right? Digital design, all those kind of things. And so you'll have desktop manufacturing in the future. And because silicon means we can live anywhere, this is silicon, the cameras are silicon, glass. We're moving to a glass and electric economy. That means that I can live down the coast where the waves are and we can go surfing, right? Because that's what life's all about, right?
Yep.
And I can work anywhere because the work can border hop with ones and zeros which fly through the sky, right? So but what happens is that we haven't realised this yet. We've got a government that wants jobs and growth, jobs and growth bingo. And they want everyone to be in a big city and all that, and so we can all have traffic jams. It doesn't make any sense. The reason we drive to the filing cabinets filled with humans, otherwise known as high-rise buildings, stupid. Get there, go, hi Bob, hi Mary, bye Bob, bye Mary, and go home. It's crazy in a traffic jam. Why? Yeah, we need to get together. We're together today, but we just came together, non-traffic jam time, lunchtime, here we are chatting. We've got the socialisation. We're working together, separate organisations. You don't have to have everyone in the one building who all work together.
My whole team's abroad.
Exactly. And that's what the future is, right? And if governments were smart, they'd be investing in a regional renaissance, saying you can work from anywhere now. If companies that were smart, it's like, yeah, you get to work from anywhere. And people say, oh, it's not possible. It's bullshit. That's control. That's the control economy. Look at WordPress. Run 24% of the internet, don't have an office.
Yeah.
Anyone who says it isn't possible is because their DNA and their leaders don't want it to be possible.
Yeah.
It's absolute bullshit.
They're
Not
old
proof
school.
of it.
Definitely.
You're proof of it.
Yeah.
So that for me is super exciting.
I read a really good book called Remote by the guys at 37 Signals. They built Basecamp, the online app.
Another great example.
Yeah, and they talked about how there is like an underground trend that is going to people are happier and work better from remote or semi-remote basis.
Yeah,
So
or that
have
hybrid kind of model where you come in, connect when you need to, and then go off.
That's right.
Like
maybe like 2 days a week coming to the office for if you do need to have some meetings and some FaceTime or whatever, and then the rest of the time you can be, you can have your dog around you, you're going to be with your friends and family or whatever, and then the one thing with this book that I thought was cool, which you might be able to vibe on, Steve, is like then. When everyone's not just packed into an office and everyone's, isn't Mary a great employee? She was here till 8 o'clock last night.
Yeah.
Like that's irrelevant. What did she do till 8 o'clock? Like it turns the whole, if you're a good employee, from how many hours do you work? I know that what you produce is still valued, obviously. People still say that.
Quality.
But
Is key.
Output.
Yeah, quality of work for sure.
Yeah, but
and output, not just see hours and output. There's this real delineation there. I mean, and so I've presented this to, I've spoken to 300 companies, big Fortune 500 companies in the last couple of years, right, around the world in 14 countries. And so often they say, oh, look, it just couldn't work. Like, I need to see what they're doing. You know what my answer is? I said, if you need to see what people are doing to know what their output is, then I would ask you, why are you employing that person? Because if you can't tell if they're doing their work unless you're watching them, you don't really know what their job is. And I would argue that they shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
That's the number one thing. And right, you know, and that is a fair call. If you have to watch over them, or you treat them like babies, you're going to get, you know, you're not treating them like adults. There should be clear tasks that are output. I mean, if you're on a factory line, the task is clear. Did you put the bolt in the car door or not? And it should be the same with informational work. Just when I employ people who are freelancers do work for me, I'm like, I need this thing done by Friday, and what's the cost? And they give me the cost. I say, fine. I don't care if it took them 1 minute or 20 hours. I couldn't care less.
Yeah.
I'm interested in the thing.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And if you're there, you're wanting to watch over people, for me, I just can't swallow it, and I just think it's legacy thinking. And you know, this whole idea of being able to separate ourselves, it's like you could overcome things like housing affordability crisis.
Yeah.
I was at Phillip Island this week, which for listeners and viewers is a couple of hours away from Melbourne, beautiful coastal region, little island.
Great spot.
And I was saying to the guys down there, to attract people here, the cost of living is, you know, that the housing affordability there, what you get is off the scale. You know, walking to a close beach, beautiful. You can get to the city
Similar
pretty
to where
easy.
Tommy lives.
Whereabouts are you,
Kinda.
Tommy?
Brimley.
I know Brimley real well. I
Yeah.
got a farm down near Ocean Grove.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm in the sand dunes there in a nice little log
I
cabin.
know the spot, mate. I
Yeah.
know all the stories about Brimley sand dunes. Don't you worry about that.
There's a lot, actually.
I've heard that.
I've heard
Couple
a
of
lot.
sessions down on the
surf around
dunes
there
as a
when
young
it's
lad
big,
I
like-
see.
Yeah,
I
right.
surf around there when it's big at the Point Impossible, and if it's
Oh,
too big
nice.
for me.
I live
and-
pretty
yeah.
much right at Point
Yeah,
Impossible.
yeah,
We're
beautiful
one of the
spot.
closest houses to it.
Oh, right. Love
Yeah.
it. And so, you know, the idea of saying, well, if you wanted to get a regional renaissance, you should build, you know, co-working space for companies to split their people up, you know, people from big corporations. Why wouldn't you have your people distributed? Because then what? They're going to learn new ideas from different people in different environments because they've got a real world exposure, not a monoculture.
Yep.
And these regional areas, I said, you should build the world's first virtual reality meeting room. That'll go global in news, and just have all your residents come in here for their virtual meetings. Have a rolling office autonomous bus that goes to the city for the people who need to have their meetings.
That's cool.
Invent
Imagine the
it.
locations people would be
Dude,
like
that's what I'm
phoning
saying.
in from.
So here's
Yeah.
what the government should do. We're going to put in 50 amazing co-working spaces, or help entrepreneurs like those who run the Commons to get some funding behind doing it. We're going to encourage large corporations to let their people live from where they want to live, to bring the housing prices down, and that'll have the impact of lowering housing prices in the city and booming it a little bit, and then keep money out in the regional areas. We're going to have a regional renaissance. All we need is the will to do it and the right people proposing these ideas, right? That's where we should be investing our infrastructure. And then here's what happens. You do cool things like that, then you've got an export product. Oh, we've got this great model here in Australia where we can show you how to build or sell our designs for your virtual reality offices and your rolling offices to the city and all of this kind of cool. That's the thinking we need.
That sounds awesome. Sounds like the utopia we were talking about in the last episode.
Yeah, that's right. And doing business from a co-working space is better for business anyway.
Of
Like you
course
say,
it
it's
is.
way more collaborative. I've got so many ideas and so many friends and so many contacts and so many references or whatever from people that are floating around here, rather than if I had, you know, all the same thing getting rammed down your throat all day, every day, going into your own personal office that you're for the one company kind of thing. So, yeah, I think it's great. And I think the rolling offices thing, like imagine when we have an extra, because people spend on average
A day a week, more than a day a week.
In the car? Yeah, that's right.
In Australia, it's about 8-point-something hours if you're
Yeah.
a city worker. Now, of course, there's delineations in the cohort of who you measure, but those who work in the city, the average is, it's like 8-and-something hours a week
Yeah.
in the car.
a lot.
That's an entire work day.
Yeah.
I think I'm spending around that much when I'm working. I try not to work, but when I am, it's mostly in the city at the moment, and
Yeah.
driving in traffic absolutely sucks.
Yeah.
Don't you it's like choose your times?
Yeah, 100%. I do, for sure. I know when to come in, when not to. I own
Yeah.
my own business, so I had that worked out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And I use my time wisely in the car. I listen to audiobooks.
Yeah, same. And make calls and speak to people.
It's
Same.
productive.
Yeah,
It's always
yeah.
productive
For me, it
time
is too, and I enjoy
regardless.
it.
Yeah.
But it's not enjoyable when you're in traffic. There's something about it. The car has to move fast.
You know,
It's
if
If you have to do
know-
it every day, though, it can be a drainer. But it's like if
Yeah.
you can break it up with a day here or there, and if you could work remotely from home, that's all you would need would be that every third day have a
That's
day
right.
at home, and it
Yeah.
doesn't
Exactly
feel
what I
like
do.
it's every day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's fine. It's actually
Yeah.
enjoyable. Oh, cool! I'm going into the city that day.
Yeah,
And you
exactly.
you plan for it, you know about it, and it's cool.
Exactly.
It's funny you say about driving fast is okay, driving traffic, because I went and picked my mum up from the airport yesterday. I got rid of my car, so I don't drive anymore. Because I live in Port Melbourne, work in South
Right.
Melbourne. Gym's 5 minutes
Yeah,
down the road.
yeah.
Uber, car,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
bike,
transport,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, it's great. But I went and picked mum up from the airport, and oh my fucking so. I went to the regular pickup section, and she'd gotten Tiger, and I didn't know because my phone had died.
Oh,
so
no.
I went to the regular pickup section. I called her from someone else's phone. She's like, "I'm in the other section." I'm like, "Fucking hell!" So I've driven around, and it took me about like 45 minutes because I took about 2 wrong turns to get to the Tiger section in just horrible traffic, people tooting, people yelling out, and it ruined my day.
It's not
course
good
it did.
energy.
Dude, it's-
Everyone's
Friday.
angry. It's terrible energy in
Yeah.
there. It's the worst. I can feel it straight away.
Yes.
I feel it when I drive into the city sometimes. I
Yeah.
just know when it's going to be
Yeah.
a bad
Yeah.
day.
And I imagine though, if that negative energy, because we've got clever about what silicon provides, we really started to really plan this out.
Discovery Roger, go for deploy.